85%. That's the number of home sellers who say after selling, they had some sort of stress or some sort of challenge during the home selling process. These problems, sometimes they can be handled on the front end. And if you don't handle these problems correctly, it could end up on you losing out on tens of thousands of dollars when selling your home here in Fargo, North Dakota. Now, some problems are inevitable, but if you plan correctly, you can make the process as stress-free, as smooth, efficient, and to sell your house for top dollar. In this video, I'm breaking down what are the 5 most common mistakes I see home sellers make, some ways we can prevent those mistakes, and some ways we can make a plan to, again, sell your home efficiently, quickly, and for top dollar. First up, and the first mistake I see people make all the time is they don't have a plan. You need to have a plan when selling your home. Because what if you list your house on the market, you're like, yep, I'm gonna sell my house, but then you realize 3 days in the market when you have an offer coming in, you do not know where you're gonna move to. 1 in 4 sellers say they are unsure of where they're gonna move to before they list their house on the market. This doesn't mean you need to have your next house under contract. It just means you need to be prepared. You need to know if this, then that. What if something bad happens? Then what? What if my house sits on the market for a couple months? Then what am I gonna do? Because the worst of worst situations, A, you could be homeless because you sell your house and you have nowhere else to move, or B, you could end up paying 2 mortgage payments at the same time because you bought a house, but you haven't sold your current house. So these are all situations that are real situations that happen that can all be prevented if you plan accordingly ahead of time. Now, there's always things that happen that maybe it's a fork in the road, it's an obstacle where it's unavoidable, but just be prepared to say challenges are gonna come up. At least you're not frantically looking for a house to move into, because when you're under those time and pressure situations, you're gonna make an impulse decision that likely you're gonna end up regretting later down the line. So that's why it's eternally important to make sure you have a plan when selling your home. You make sure you know what your plan is. You make sure you, your family, your realtor, everybody's on the same page with this plan so you can move confidently, straightforward, and ready to go. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Sykora, your Fargo real estate agent. This video, I'm breaking down some of the 5 mistakes I see sellers make here in this Fargo real estate market. If you want more information on your current situation or you're considering buying or selling a home here in the near future, you can schedule a call through the link in the description and we can put together a plan so you sell your home in the quickest way, the most least stressful way, and the most efficiently way possible for top dollar. So let's jump right into this video where I go over the 5 mistakes home sellers make here in Fargo, North Dakota. The first one, which I already talked about, was not having a plan. The next one is trying to time the market. There is no such thing as perfect timing in the real estate market, because you got to think too, if you're buying and selling a home, if it's a really good time to buy, it's probably not a good time to sell, and vice versa. So there's never going to be a perfect situation for you to sell. You just need to sell when you feel comfortable and when it fits into your plan with selling your home. So you don't have to think, okay, I'm going to wait for rates to drop, because the thing is, we do not know if they're ever going to drop or when they're going to drop. They might not. They might not drop for another 6 years. Who knows? Or our price is going to go back up. I'm going to wait till that. These are all things that get our heads spinning, causes a lot of stress. Obviously, they're things that need to be thinking about. If you have a house with a 2% interest rate on it right now that you're thinking of selling to move into a 7% interest rate, it's a bigger conversation to have. But it's also like, you do not want to wait 10 years to try to time it perfectly, because think of how much equity you lost out in those 10 years. Or think of all the stress you caused waiting for those 10 years. So don't try to time the market perfectly, to time the buyer demand perfectly. This is for here in Fargo. If you see my market videos, if you time the marketing correctly when listing your home, not timing selling your home, and you price your home correctly, your house will sell. You just need to make sure you do those things. Again, make sure you have a plan when selling, and you don't need to time the market. Houses are selling all the time, no matter the season, no matter the interest rate, no matter the year, because you got to think, death, divorce, having children, people are moving all the time. Even the interest rates, even if they were 20%, obviously there wouldn't be as many people moving, but there would still be people moving here in this Fargo-Moorhead real estate market. Now we need to jump into a little bit of how your house is marketed, how it looks through a buyer's eyes. Because when you're selling your home, you want to make your house look like the obvious choice for buyers looking in the market. So another mistake I see people make is they have poor virtual appeal and curb appeal. You've probably heard people talk about curb appeal before, where that's where you try to make your house look as good as you can up in the front. You have your driveway shoveled if it's a winter, you have your grass mowed if it's a summer, you have flowers, you have a new painted door, that sort of thing. These things are all very important, but as we transfer into a more virtual world with a virtual real estate market, it's more important than ever to have a good virtual appeal. Does your property have professional photography done? Do you have professional videography done? Do you have drone footage done? Do you have a good listing description? Do you have good pictures online? All these things matter because you and I both know everybody starts their home search by looking online first. That's where everything starts and that's where everything originates. So if you have, just to be blunt, crappy little iPhone pictures of your listing, it's dark out online, you're not going to get as many showings and you're not going to get as much interest if you have like perfect lighting, professional photography, professional videography done on your home. Because that's how you get people into your home and that's how you get interest. It all starts online with a virtual appeal. And just to back it up with a stat, homes with professional photography online get 61% more views and sell 32% faster than homes that don't have professional photography. So as you'll see a little bit later in the video of how important this is with pricing and how you back it up, all those views, you want to have them play against each other to bid up on your home so you get the best sale and the best price possible. That's why it's important to do this. You need to have good virtual appeal, good curb appeal, and have your house ready to go to be sold. Even with the houses looking great online, if you don't have someone that negotiates for you and is there for you through the home selling process, you could still end up on losing on tens of thousands of dollars, which ties right into the mistake number 4, which is choosing the wrong agent to sell your home. A house is a lot of the times people's biggest financial asset. So you don't want to choose an agent off the street. I know I'm an agent. It's like, oh, of course this guy's saying choose an agent that you see online or choose whatever. You just need to make sure you are comfortable with your agent. Make sure you interview your agent. Make sure you have a plan with your agent before selling your home. You don't just want to make a phone call and that be the only one you choose. Please, please, please make sure you choose a good agent. Someone that's going to communicate with you, someone that's going to explain the market to you, that's going to market your home for you, that has a listing package for you, all these sort of things. It's essentially important to selling your home. People, I know a lot of times these days think agents aren't very important when selling your home, but it's essentially important. You could think of someone's commission, whatever it is. If I could make your house sell for this much more based on my marketing that covers my commission and more, it's easily worth it for you as a seller. This isn't a pitch to get you to use me as your agent. You certainly can interview me. I would love to be interviewed for an opportunity for the position to list your home, but I'm saying you need to be smart about who you're choosing to represent you when selling your home. This is your biggest financial asset and the biggest decision you're gonna make in your life, one of them. So you need to make sure you have someone you trust, someone that's professional, and someone that knows what they're doing when selling their home. This next thing is the number one mistake I see home sellers make that ultimately in the end costs them tens of thousands of dollars when selling their home. Now it may seem simple, but this is pricing your home correctly. You need to make sure you have a competitive market analysis done on your home, a good one that will show you what your house is worth and where to position it in the market to get it sold. Now you may think, let's test it at a higher number, see what happens, and then we can always go down, but this is not necessarily always the case. Because you gotta think of it from this situation, from the buyer's perspective, because that's the one who's gonna be buying your home. So if you're a buyer and you're seeing 2 houses on a Saturday, one of them has been on the market for 1 day, it has showings before you, it has showings after you, and it just got put on the market. The other house has been on the market for 90 days. There hasn't been a showing in 3 weeks. It's had 3 price drops. Which house do you think is gonna have more action? And if you were to write an offer, which house do you think would accept a lower offer and have more room to negotiate? It's gonna be the house that has price drops and has been on the market for 90 days. That's a house where the buyers are gonna go after to try to get a deal, not the one that's been on the market for 1 day. So that's why you need to make sure you price your house correctly and make sure you price it accurately. That's so huge in this real estate market. Over 40% of the homes here in Fargo-Moorhead have to have at least 1 price drop before selling. Now you do not want your home to have any price drops before selling. You want to sell your house as it is, with the price it is, and have multiple people interested in the ideal situation. So that's why pricing is so essential, to make sure you know what your price is, what your bottom line is, and to just look at the numbers straight up for how they are. A lot of times people have sentimental value with their house because they lived in it or because of all the memories, which is hard to get past, and I am the same exact way when buying or selling a home. But you have to look at the numbers of what they mean when you're selling your home so you can ultimately, at the end of the day, come away with the most amount of money possible. This was a little breakdown of 5 of the common mistakes I see home sellers make here in the Fargo, North Dakota real estate market. If you're considering selling a home, I'd be honored to be added to the list of interviews you want to do with agents to have the opportunity to sell your home. You can find all my contact information in the description below or schedule a call right in my calendar. And thanks for watching this video.